the Pankaj Chaudhary, Chairman, the CBIC, Revenue Secretary, members of the CBIC, Principal Commissioners, Commissioners, and all officers of the CBIC, invited guests, media. Gives me immense pleasure to be here today, particularly when we are celebrating World Customs Organization Day. We're doing it a bit late, but because the date happens to be 26th January, it becomes slightly difficult for all of us to give our time, considering it is also our Republic Day. So it was gracious of the chairman to agree for an alternative day, and that happens to be today, and in a place which actually depicts the best of India's customs, and that is Nhava Sheva. I begin by giving my appreciation to all those who have received the award today. They are across the board. Their performance has been monitored, each being in their respective area of activity. But what I see in these awards is that they are serving their duty exemplarily well is obvious. But what does that do? It gives recognition for the individual. It gives such a recognition that it can be a lifetime achievement. It gives them the honor and recognition and merit for the work and contribution that they make. But if you look at the kind of trigger points on which the evaluation has happened and for which they're being awarded, I think it is an exemplary contribution to national security and for our country's Atma Nirbharta. So big congratulations to all of you. I'm sure it is not taken in the way that I am going to put it out, but I want it to be considered as not just an award being given every year. This is a very big recognition for people who are actually in the front, like the soldiers who are posted in the border areas. You're actually the unarmed soldiers who are halting those unlawful activities happening at the borders. You're not allowing certain illegal things to come in. You're recognizing and probably smelling it even much before it happens. You're preventing it from getting into the hinterland. And therefore, the contribution that is being made is unmatched. I would want these awards to just not be for those people by routine every year somebody gets. These will have to be seen with those discerning eyes, which actually say, if you've received this award, you have made an immense contribution to the Indian economy and India's economic security. And therefore, not just stopping. I mean, look at the kind of things. I'm astonished that these are, well, it is some form of a token gesture of recognition. You give a beautifully worded certificate. But these are stories of heroes who've stopped such very valuable things from either getting out of the country or from getting into the country. And I would therefore think the board and also the PIB, the Press Information Bureau, and many other communication wing of the government should write about these people. Local television channels should interview them, should actually make a big hero of these people, which they are anyway, but for the public to know, this is the person who stopped tons of gold from coming into this country. This is the person who stopped illegal cigarettes from coming into the country. Oh, but this is the person who stopped drugs from entering into the country. And this is the person who actually every school child should be told, precious environment, fauna and flora have been prevented from getting out of the country, or even people sending them into this country have been stopped by this individual. And these are not just possible by sitting and working at your computer. This is sometimes risking your life. You're chasing these people. I'll never forget those instances which were brought before me, where in Kerala, I think a motorbike chase behind a car full of kidnappers or smugglers, and one or two of you all got even hurt badly. You were in hospitals. These are stories of heroes, which has to be said and showed, and also, if every time it's possible, we should document all this and have the person talk so that he or she becomes a motivator, saying this kind of a service is also possible for this country. I really bow my head in respects to such people who have done brilliant work. You therefore, for me, our country's face. You're the front for the country, and you're actually the first line of defense for this country's economic independence. And therefore, with such heroes, there are enough motivational aspects for us. There are enough motivators from whom we can draw inspiration and keep our duty going smoothly. However, pardon me for saying, during the COVID, India's customs performance set a very high benchmark for itself. I've said this before. And why did I start? Why did I start with pardon me? You set a big benchmark for yourself, fantastic performance during COVID, when not a word of complaint was put anywhere. Speedy clearances at the ports. Checking was unintrusive. Smooth and seamless movement of goods. Timely also exports had to happen. You cleared that as well. And knowingly or unknowingly, sorry for me to be sarcastic, knowingly, unknowingly, you set a very high benchmark for yourselves. You set a very high benchmark, and there is no doubt everyone recognized this within the country and outside. Now, I hope we have not sat back from that level that you reached. You're capable of performing world class. You probably are setting benchmark to others. But have you sat back a bit? This is a question I want to ask of you. There are brilliant innovations happening. You're creating new ease of doing business for those who are exporting and importing. You're making sure that their guarantees can operate through one window. They don't have to run from different places or to settle it in different places. Great innovative steps for ease of doing business. But is the buzz on? Indian customs at the port are the best, slightly getting diluted. I hope not. I want the bus to come back to say, Vikasit Bharat 2047, we are the first ones to show, we set benchmark, and we are showing what a developed country's custom can be like, not what we imitate from the West. Not at all what we imitate from the West. Because in the digital era, the India stack, the digital payment interface that we created, stands as one of the world's first, which has been introduced by the most populous country, a country where the income divide is something about which everybody's speaking. So you bridge the income divide, please. And also, you still are categorized under the low income category. But we gave the world a digital public infrastructure, not just one stack, but not just one brick, but a stack of it. And no one is able to match that. So it didn't matter whether we were the most populous country. It didn't matter that if regional development differences stand out even today, our development is not even across all parts of the country. None of this mattered. That we speak so many languages in this country, that English is not our mother tongue, didn't matter. We created an infrastructure, publicly funded, but used by everybody, which helped during COVID, vaccination, passports, your education, and your identity. Today it spreads across, doesn't it? You all recognize it. You all use it. You all benefit from it. If that is the way we showed the world that we are here to set standards, high standards, and standards which others have to catch up with, I would think that is fully proven by the Indian customs during COVID, and that has to be sustained. It is for you all to sustain it. And it is for you all to showcase that this is how customs across the world integrating technology with very many things which are paperless, cashless, and FS was right in saying it should not be heartless. You're capable of blending all this and proving to the world that we can set standards. Whether it is going to help in the fast turnaround of ships, whether it is going to help in exporters feeling that their goods are going without they having to pay any demurrages, or whether it is the digital world's exports which are going on, where your mastery is unmatched with anybody else. So I would think there should be that longing among you all that that example of COVID doesn't require another COVID for us to prove of our standards. You should do it on your own, even without COVID. One another reason why I have this confidence to say this to you. For the last 2 years, the board has been working very hard to rationalize our customs duties. One, the duty rate itself, some unbelievable figures of 150%, 200. Is this the era of that kind of high duties, even as we speak about Atmanirbharta? And is this the era to stop unwanted imports only because of high duty rates? I'm glad that the CBIC took a very comprehensive view of it, and in the last 2 years has worked to ensure, one, those fantastically high rates are brought down, and across the board, on how many items will you apply this kind of rate, and is there no way in which we can simplify it? It was rightly pointed out that during this budget exercise, as a result of 2 years of working, progressively we've cut down on duties and only 8 of them remain now. Am I right? Only 8 of them remain now. So that again proves that the CBIC has it in itself, the capability of coming down on measures which were unwarranted or warranted if so required at that time, but in today's context, to ensure India's Atmanirbharta, this can be brought down to its minimum. I appreciate the board and I appreciate every one of you for having participated in this exercise and clearly stood out as that board which is not looking at customs, which the FS correctly mentioned, as a revenue generating instrument. It is more a measure to regulate our imports and more a measure to facilitate our exports. And you have once again proven that you can rise to the occasion. And there again gives me the confidence to say CBIC should lead the way to show the WCO that we are on the top, both in terms of performance and also in the ways in which we are futuristic to make sure the global customs world can learn from us. I look up to CBIC to give that kind of a leadership in customs and customs regulation, and for the IRS, which is doing this service, to have some guidance. I also was very impressed by the fact that the awardees also included people who have contributed in making your curriculum for training. So it is one very big thing to recognize people who have contributed at the borders to stop smuggling coming into the country of drugs or, things which we don't need. But it is one more thing, very important thing, for you to apply your mind to see how best your training can be purpose-serving. Unless you have that kind of a hand-holding of your young officers, they are not going to be able to grow to be efficient and effective. Equally, I would think the younger generation has a lot more to bring in the name of technology. So in every one of your training and training modules, there should be a judicious mixture of experienced, senior, and talented and innovative juniors planning for the course. The kind of labs that you're planning to create and the kind of technologies with which surveillance will have to happen require all this and more. On this occasion, particularly when people have won great awards, I once more wish and congratulate all of them. But I would like the CBIC to draw inspiration from each one of these contributions to stand out in the interest of the nation and ensure that smuggling is stopped, not just stopped, but I've said this even before, prosecution should happen, not just of those small fries who are bringing smaller things there, but track who has been behind this. The big brains behind these will have to be caught up and brought to the court to face the law. Otherwise, we are perpetually fighting, but not really containing the problem. So with these words, I once again congratulate all the award winners, appreciate the great work, particularly happening in Nhava. I also have told the CBIC chairman and the revenue secretary that I would now start visiting all other ports, whether they are international container terminals or otherwise ports where our customs are present, go and see their good work on site. And therefore, I shall start moving and seeing all the various ports where good work is happening. I wish the entire team all the very best and a very bright future for India's customs and the brilliant work which goes on here. Jai Hind.
माननीय मंत्री महोदया, आपके शब्दों के लिए हम हृदय से आभारी हैं। आपका संबोधन सीबीआईसी परिवार को अपने कर्तव्यों को निष्ठा से निभाने में मार्गदर्शित एवं उत्साहित करेगा। हार्दिक धन्यवाद महोदया।
I now call upon Shri Vimal Kumar Srivastav, Chief Commissioner Customs, Mumbai Zone 2, to kindly deliver the vote of thanks.
A very good evening to the dignitaries.